Right on, writers, and welcome back to the Books by ADRIAN author platform. This is Typewriters Podcast, the companion show to Livestream Sunday. On Livestream Sunday, we talk to our guests about their life and career as an author and their books. On this show, we decompress a little bit, we kick back, and we talk more about the craft. It's just authors talking about authorly stuff, how we write and all that kind of good stuff. So stick around if you want to get a little bit more into the process of things with our guest today, which is Zee Lacson, the author of Reverie and Revenant, and an unnamed third book that she's being very mysterious about, and I can't wait to learn more about. So let's go ahead and, of course, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good jazz, and let's go ahead and bring her out, Miss Zee Lacson. Hello, welcome back.
Hello.
So for you and I, it has been about 5 minutes. For everyone else, it has been about 5 days. Time travel-y, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. So I will allow you to introduce yourself one more time to folks who are just tuning in, who you are, where you're from, and what you're currently working on.
Zee Lacson from Chicagoland, and I write YA magical realism. My Wool Gathering series has 3 books in it, well, 2 and 1 coming soon. You have Reverie, Revenant, and the 3rd book is coming in the beginning of 2023.
All right, now I'm about to show my ignorance a little bit here. Maybe you can help me. Is there a big difference between Chicago and Chicagoland? Are these 2 different things? Are they one and the same? I'm not from Illinois. What's going on there?
No, they are 2 different things. So Chicago is a city that everybody knows, and Chicagoland is very, very far away from the city, but nobody else knows where that is. So you have to say Chicago as your point of reference.
Is it like the suburbs of Chicago?
It's
or is
the
it a
far
whole other city?
suburbs.
The far suburbs.
It's a very, very... Oh, it's a whole nother city. It's so many different cities all around, but it's considered Chicagoland because you can drive to Chicago. I don't know. It's just like a distance.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but okay, I'll give it to you. It's fine.
It's not Chicago. It's not even the same county. You know, it's really up north. But if you say where it is, everyone's like, I have no idea where that is. So I think people just gave up and just said Chicagoland.
Chicagoland with an eye roll and a shrug. That's the official name. It says Chicagoland. It's funny because it makes you think of all those cities that named themselves after an awesome city, like Paris, Tennessee, or whatever, or like I believe there's
which are all in Illinois. No.
Like there's a London in Canada. It's like, what are you doing? You're just confusing everybody.
I like to think of it as Disneyland, but without the trams.
See, but then you have Disneyland and Disney World, and I say Disney World, and people are like, "You're going to California?" And I'm like, "No, that's Disneyland. I'm talking about Disney World."
Yeah. So wait till you find out about Chicago World.
Oh,
no, just kidding.
All right, so we established that you started out as a little bit of a pantser in your first book. You shifted more into the plotter way of things for your second book, and that's just me going one more on my side. Come to me, because I don't understand pantsers. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, how do you make sure that all the things are in there? You need the things that make it a story, and without I can't fat. But you know what? To each their own. Stephen King, whatever, get it done. That's fine.
It's really funny because one of my best friends, author, she's a pantser, a complete pantser.
Oh.
And she's always telling me, I don't understand how you do it.
What?
And I'm like...
It's so funny, right? We think about it so differently because to them, it feels like handcuffs to plot out your story ahead of time. And to us, we're just like, you're telling me to go for a drive in the mountains at night with no headlights?
And that's what they love about it, actually.
To them, it's thrilling. To me, I'm like, that's terrifying. I'm not doing that. I need road signs. I need a map. I need headlights.
I need my GPS.
I need my GPS, and I need it to
know?
correspond with the map, because if they're conflicting, then I gotta stop and pull over and figure this out.
Right. The good thing about the GPS is that you can add stops along the way. It's not a new drive. It's just like add another stop.
See,
It's
we
not a
can
big deal.
relate anything to writing. I've got one of the guys that was in the chat in Livestream Sunday, Ben Pick. His channel is called Running to Write. And his entire shtick is every video he puts up, he gives what he calls questionable writing advice through running metaphors. Everything is related to run.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's such a specific, how do you not run out of metaphors after 3 episodes? It's great. Yeah, it's quite the challenge for him, I'm sure. He's a very interesting dude. He runs a lot. It's all about that running.
Well, when you think about it, I think I can relate anything to food. So,
Well, see, there you go. Yeah, or cooking. Yeah, I relate. Writing a novel to cooking all the time. Especially when it comes to the whole plotter thing. Having everything. When I go see if my wife was a writer, which she is not, but if she was, she would be a pantser, because when she cooks, she's the one that puts the pan on, turns on the heat, gets the meat, throws it in there, blah blah blah, and
exactly.
There's a mess everywhere. The kitchen is madness, and I come in and I'm like, it better be delicious, because this mess is really stressing me out right now. Meanwhile, when I cook, I get all the ingredients out, all the spices, everything I need for the entire prep, all of the utensils, the meat is all defrosted, everything is ready. And when I've gone through my checklist, I've got everything. Okay, now I turn the heat on the pan. Now I get started. And as I use the things, I'm putting them back where they go. I'm done with the salt. I never need the salt again. Put it away. And by the time I'm done cooking and putting stuff on the plates, everything is already gone and everything is put away. And there's all this left is just the dishes in the sink when I'm done. That's it.
Okay, you know what? In real life,
that's how I do.
In real life, I'm a complete pantser. I'm on your wife's side. In life, I'm a pantser. In my writing, I'm a plotter.
Madness.
Meanwhile, my friend who is a pantser in writing is a complete plotter in real life.
I was going to say she's probably OCD about everything in real life.
Yes, she scheduled everything in 2023 already. And she's asking me oh, so what's your schedule like in, I don't know, March? And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm having for dinner today. What are you talking about?
But my writing, I know where my story is going to go. I know what's going to happen to my characters.
Yeah.
So it's very different.
Yeah, I usually start with a title. We were talking on Livestream Sunday that it's crazy to start with a description of your story and do it backwards. I start with a title, to be honest with you. A title will come to me and I'm like, I know what that entire story is. I from that title, I know exactly what story I want to tell. And then I write
not
that.
For me. That's not how it works for me.
Do titles come difficult to you? Do they come at the end? Do you struggle with the titles? What's up with that?
Yeah, the titles come out near the end. It's an end project is the titles. And the reason why I'm keeping the third one secret is because I put it up on Facebook and social media. If anyone can guess what the third book title is. At the rate that everyone's going, I might actually make it a prize. At first, I was like, oh, it's just for fun. Who gets to it first? But I'm like, wow, we're 38 comments in and no one's figured it out yet. You know what? I'm going to put something on this thing.
Yeah.
So now there's a prize involved.
A signed hardcover or something, right?
Oh, yeah? I'm all about the merch.
That's what's up.
We've got merch. Yeah,
I've got merch too. Nobody buys it, but I've got it. It's sitting there.
Right, it's for you. It's for you. It's so that you've got it on the shelf.
Nice.
So when you put your books up there, you've got something next to it, and
I saw. Don't you have some kind of is it lotion or cocoa butter or something? I saw like a tin of something in your store.
It's candles.
It's a candle? Oh,
yeah, and the candle. Oh, and that experience was awesome, right? So I went to a local candle maker, right? And the process was amazing. It made me feel so legit. So I said, I want this candle. So the first candle was for Reverie, and I go, oh, I want it to be very much like the book. And she's like, well, tell me about it. Tell me about what the theme is like, what the feelings are like. Yes, and she was like, okay. And I said, well, my character loves candy, so I kind of wanted to have a cotton candy kind of thing. It's sweet, but it's romantic and magical. And she gave me a bunch of different metal tins where she had poured different smells right?
Aromas.
Some fragrances that she mixed in certain portions, and she goes, okay, let it sit, and then come back in a few days. Tell me which 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 is what you're looking for, more or less. And then we've got all that, and it's a proprietary blend, so nobody else can have that scent. It's specific for Reverie. And then when Revenant came around, I was like, okay, I want it to have like more of like a snow kind of smell, more wintry. And they're like, okay, so they had to mix some different ones. And then I'm like, okay, this one. So I felt so cool. Like, how do you feel? It's like feeling in total merchandise where you're just walking down the factory and you're like, no, not this.
Yeah.
No, not this. Ah, there, right? So you feel like you're on top of the world. It's totally legit.
That's awesome.
I'm so happy.
That's really cool. And to have like, creative input in the process and connecting it to the book, that's awesome. That's really cool.
It expands the world.
To buy a candle and your book and light the candle and read the book at the same time.
Exactly. It's supposed to expand the world, right? So I've had readers do that. They'll light it, and then while they're reading, they're like, oh, it reminds me of London, and everything. So
that's dope. See, I keep thinking about like what I wanted to do for mine was I want to have a soundtrack. Like I want to get like a composer to make a whole soundtrack for my book.
Yes.
And you can just throw it on and like listen to it
yes.
while you read. Obviously, lyricless, like score, background.
Yeah, mood music.
Yeah. But the thing with that is that everybody reads at different speeds, and then like how do I know like where in the story?
Okay, so here's my suggestion. Your track needs to be titled Chapter 1. Chapter 2.
Well,
they play it when they're in that chapter.
The other way to do it is to lean hard on the whole we're in the future thing, right? Because I thought about the ebook version of my novel / audiobook version and the idea of putting them on an app and just have it like create my own app. And when you want to buy my book, you just buy the app, download the app. You have the ebook, you have the audiobook.
It's interactive.
You can switch between the two. It would be and in that scenario, I can have a score in the background, and it will know Absolutely. Where the reader is, and it will like just loop until you go to the next page, and it could work. I can make that work.
I think so.
Yeah, it sounds like an incredibly huge project that would take forever to make, but I could probably do it.
Well, look how well you're doing this now, right? Like this is a huge project that you're doing with your podcast and your YouTube. That's crazy, but look at what you're doing.
Yeah,
see, totally worth it.
You know what? You should be a motivational speaker. you just turned my whole outlook around. I know
you can do it.
Now, there's
I love that you know my references.
Of course I do. Yeah. I would never ask a lady her age, but I'm willing to bet that we're probably pretty close in age because you were talking about like CD players in 2009 and stuff, and I remember coming home from high school on my bike and stopping at the music store at the mall on the way home because it was Tuesday and new music comes out on Tuesday and my favorite band has a new album or whatever. And then Wednesdays I would stop at the comic book store because new comics would come out on Wednesday. So I would go in on Wednesdays and get the new comics on my stupid little bike and go all the way home. And what else was there? Like
and then on Fridays you go to Blockbuster.
Yes.
You rent the movie for the weekend.
Because the movies come out on Friday. Yes. Dude, the trip to Blockbuster was always the highlight of the week. We were always looking forward to it, browsing through the aisles and everything. Now you just swipe on Netflix for 2 hours and then decide that you can't find anything, then you just watch Friends again. So every author, we ask this on this particular show to every author. We ask about writer's block. Everybody thinks a little differently on it. Some authors don't believe it even exists. Others are crippled by it. And I just wonder, do you suffer from writer's block? And if so, how do you battle your writer's block?
Oh, yeah, that absolutely. I totally believe in it. Yeah. That's interesting that you say some people don't believe in it, like ghosts.
I don't believe in it. I believe
really?
I believe that it's a misunderstanding. You think that you have writer's block, but really there's something wrong in your story, or you didn't plot well enough, and you have to go back to your outline.
So I guess it depends on what the description or what the definition of writer's block is.
Yeah. Yeah, because folks say, well, I'm working on a novel, and I sat down and I went down to write, and I couldn't think of anything, and then nothing would come out, and I couldn't write anything. And I'm like, where's your outline, dude? Every time I sit down to write, I know exactly what I have to write because I outlined it 6 months ago, and I just pull it up and like, okay, today I'm writing this.
I'm
Here I
writing
go.
this scene. This is the
Yeah.
scene that I have to write.
And again, even if I am, I know what I'm writing and I'm in the scene, if I run into anything where I'm like the words are not flowing, I just acknowledge something is wrong. Let's go back. Let's go back and see where I made a wrong turn.
Or
Maybe
placeholder.
Yeah, or a placeholder and move on. Whatever you want to do. I got a buddy on here, Kent Sean, who swears by this. He says if you run into writer's block while you're writing your novel, hit that delete button and hold it down. And just watch the words disappear until you can't anymore, until you stop. Like, oh no, this is a really good spot. That's where you pick up again. Start from there.
Oh my gosh, live that dangerously? Yeah, I'm not so sure I can do that.
That's what he does. And so everybody battles it differently. So you say that you do come up against writer's block. What's yours like, and how do you battle?
Oh, I think it's more of like, let's say, now you were asking me earlier what was the next book I'm writing after the trilogy. And I was thinking about it, and I know where the book is going to be, or where it's sort of the outline. I haven't done the outline yet, and I think that's probably where the biggest writer's block is where I'm necessarily going to put things, or how I'm going to put it, right? And it's always the first scene that I sort of struggle with, or I take my time in. And I don't, sometimes, like with the third book, I think I wrote out 2 different scenes before I finally decided on the one that I wanted. So that's probably what I would consider my writer's block, is where I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to start it. And normally my best ideas come when I'm in the shower and I'm wasting water, apparently. But now think about it. And right before you sleep,
they'll come after you.
I'm getting clean. It's multi. I'm working. I'm doing 2 things at the same time. No, but like when I'm going to bed, what I like to do is I like to think about that scene, like the scene I'm trying to write, and then see what comes to me right before I sleep, which is very dangerous also because there is a chance that you might not remember it.
Yeah.
Right? But like hopefully it comes back again if that's the case. But I feel like it helps, because when you're relaxing and you're thinking about something, but you're letting your subconscious go because you're about to go to sleep, it releases your creativity and it allows you to think outside the box.
Yeah,
I think.
And you're talking about your best ideas coming at you, in the shower and stuff like that. Like that's such a big part of the creative process for so many of us. Taika Waititi is a well-known director and writer, and he famously was in an interview recently, and they asked him if he had been writing his next movie, and he's like, I mean, I am, but like, what is writing really? Sometimes writing is just opening up your laptop and staring at a blank screen for 8 hours and then crying and then shutting it and going about your day.
That is the process.
And that's the process.
Still the process.
And then you got guys like, Quentin Tarantino, who said that early in his career he would do the author, trying to be a quirky author thing where I can only write at night when everyone is asleep and the world is dreaming or whatever. And it's all nonsense because it's just you like trying to like figure it out, trying to find your way. And now he's just a 9 to 5 kind of guy. He wakes up in the morning, he basically clocks in, gets his words in. When he's done, he stops. He says he goes and he sits in his pool and he just thinks about like what he wrote today. He thinks about what he's going to write tomorrow, and that's all part of the process. It's all part of how you.
Yeah,
write.
Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it happens when you're not intending it. Like after I wrote Reverie, I hadn't intended on writing Revenant right away. I was enjoying that it was published. It was my first book published. I was enjoying all of that, everything about it. But when I would go to sleep, I would have ideas in my mind and the scene that would come in and everything. And finally I said, okay, my character is not shutting up. I actually have to start writing this thing.
Yeah.
So it can go both ways. It could go even when you're intentionally trying to take a break, but it won't stop. Or when you want it to go, but it's not coming. So you just gotta go with it.
Yeah. It's the yin and yang of it, right? Like
but on that note, whether or not you're inspired to write, I always encourage that you do write, even if it's crap. Just write.
Yeah, that's the other side of it for me when writer's block hits and it's that really severe one where you really can't get any words down of anything down. I always suggest free writing. What's it called?
It
Stream of
doesn't have to be your
consciousness.
book. It
Yeah,
doesn't even have to be anything about your book. It could be something
stream of
completely different.
consciousness writing, and you pull over a piece of paper, you grab a pen, you make sure that it's something tactile. Maybe the clicky clacks work for you, but when I do it, I have to pick up a pen and a paper, and I have to just start writing. And it's nonsense at first. It's like, I don't know what to write. This is all nonsense. This is really stupid. I can't believe I'm writing. And I just keep on going, and I keep on going. And then I set a timer for 45 minutes, because if that's like the sweet spot. Like, by then I will have broken the dam and the water is flowing again and I'm writing. And by the time that timer goes off, either I am happy with what I've written and I'm going to stop, or I'm into it now and I can't stop. And, like I'm going. But
Right.
even if I didn't come up with anything, earth shattering during that, at least I wrote something and I broke through the whole, like, I can't write,
A lot of times I'll write like something unrelated, right? So
Yeah.
I would write a blog post. Although I haven't written a blog post in a while, so you caught me
I
by
wasn't going to
surprise
say
by
anything.
actually doing
but
research
yeah.
on that. I was like, "Oh my gosh, bring up my blog! I haven't written anything in forever."
It was funny because I was reading through it and I read the first entry and I read the second one, and then the third one down was like from almost a year ago, and it was like, I'm going to try to write more in my blog, and I'm like, yeah. That was my blog for a long time, until I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna take this thing down because I'm not writing anything for this blog.
It's been helpful. Like, I've been like, okay, I'll do the blog post and everything, and I'm just kind of like, wow. I still think it's going to be in 2023. It's still going to be one of those things. It's going to be one of those things I'm going to write down like every week, every month. I'm going to write something.
I have never been a journaler. I have never been a blogger. I can't. I've tried many times to like get a blog going for a long period of time. Couple entries in, and it just kind of fades away. I have bought journals, diaries, and I am going to be one of these people who documents their life. And I swear, 2 days of like writing an entry a night, and then I forget it exists, and I never write it.
I used to be a journalist when I was not journalist, like a journal writing person. I guess. Not a journalist, but when I was younger, when I was in high school and when I was in university, that's what I'd be doing. I would always journal stuff, right? And so I didn't think it was going to be that difficult. I remember when blogging first started, and my friends were all like, "Oh, it's totally up your alley," and I'm like,
Is it?
"Wait, it's a journal that anyone can read?"
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that.
Dude,
That
when
doesn't seem like.
when Live Journal came on the scene, I was in high school. Me and my high school girlfriend, we were just like, "Oh, Live Journal! We're just gonna journal our lives away." And then it just became this like totally toxic thing in our relationship, where we'd be like checking each other's journals and see what we said about each other.
And now it's Instagram.
And now it's Instagram. Yeah, now
It's always
Instagram.
something.
Instagram and Facebook, and yeah, that's what it all comes down to. Okay, now, how about imposter syndrome? That's the other big one. You always have writer's block and imposter syndrome. These are the two big challenges for a lot of, especially new writers. Do you ever struggle with that side of things, with imposter syndrome?
Who doesn't? Who doesn't have? Genuinely, who doesn't? Like, as a writer, when you're starting, right, and then you'll read books, because you normally aren't a writer unless you read a lot of books. And so you read these books, and then you're like, read something amazing, and you go, how dare I think that I can possibly be in the same category as these magical beings that write these incredible things. And sometimes you're like, hey, he hasn't finished it.
I don't care. They're still up there. I feel I have such like empathy for George Martin, because I've been writing mine for 3 years, and it's only 150,000 words. And this one is the first one. The smallest book is 4 times that, and I'm gonna judge this man? Like, I don't think so.
And more people died in the first chapter than probably your entire book.
Probably. Although I do take after him with my bloodlust. By the end, I'm like,
oh dear,
how many more people can I kill before the end of this book?
Oh dear! I remember I was reading it, right, and I'm like, "Oh, I like this character," and he wasn't even the main character. It was like it sets the tone for the entire series. Is
Oh yeah.
this one character that I like dies almost immediately,
Mhm.
and that's exactly how the rest of the series went.
Yeah, yeah, and it's usually right around the point in the book where you go, you know what? I really hated this character at first, but now I'm really starting to like. Oh, they're dead,
and,
and
and
their arc is
you
over.
know it. You're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is gonna happen."
They're like, oh, this feels oddly like a character arc completed. I imagine the next page will end in death.
Is there any other way?
You got to kill them off, man. Like once their story's told, that's it. It's just
Any other
right off
way?
into
So
the
yeah, I
sunset.
feel like you read those books, of course you're gonna be like, how dare I compete? But then there's
Yeah.
sometimes you write something and you read it over and you're like, damn, that was pretty good.
Mm.
And then you're like, I can do this. So,
Mm-hmm.
but again, you need your tribe to tell you that, hey, you can do this. It's not BS. Some things need help. Some things need work. But
Yeah.
it's not total crap.
My editor was my sister. She's a very good writer, a better writer than me. Went to school for creative writing. She's got some poetry published. She's worked on a couple of screenplays, that kind of thing. And so she was editing my novel, and I'm very, very grateful for her because she is very good at giving you both writerly feedback and readerly feedback at the same time. So while she's correcting all of your typos and your grammar and saying, hey, this reads a little clunky, maybe something more like this, blah blah blah, she's giving you all of that stuff, but at the same time she'll read a line that makes you go, yo, this was good, I'm highlighting this one, this is a really good line, or
That's a great editor.
this is sparking theories, I think that maybe it's going to go this way, or she's giving you like the reader experience of like, oh, the mystery's leading me down this way, these clues are leading me down this way, and when she's surprised by something. So all of that stuff is very, very useful.
That's valuable. That's
Oh, yeah.
valuable feedback, I think,
Oh, yeah.
because
And-
then you need to know if what you're writing is effective.
Absolutely.
You know?
I recommend it to anybody who's editing for a writer. If you can at all, try to include notes like that about the reader experience of it all, and not only the writer stuff, because that's important. How a reader's going to feel, how are the emotions actually hitting? Do you feel like it's going to move people, and that kind of thing, and that
So that's your sister.
That's my sister. She's my editor. Yeah.
Okay,
And,
my brother's contribution to my writing is that they finally admitted I'm not adopted.
You have accomplished something. We're proud of you. We accept you as one of our own.
That's how I knew that. Oh my gosh, this was a successful endeavor, because they
I'm
were
the
like,
older brother, so I'm usually the one who would be like, "You're adopted. Our parents don't even love you."
yeah, I'm the youngest, so I get the
Yeah.
brunt of all that. But
Yeah.
like when it was done, he goes, I think we're going to stop telling people that you're adopted. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you very much. Please do immediately. brothers are hilarious. So yeah, that readerly feedback helps with the whole imposter syndrome thing. The same way that I think that writer's block is usually a misunderstanding of the writer process, I think that the imposter syndrome is also a misunderstanding of the writer process, because every accomplished author gives the same advice to new writers, and that is steal from everyone. Steal from the people that you like. Steal from the people that you read. If you like the way Neil Gaiman's prose reads, then try to write like Neil Gaiman's prose. If you like the way George Martin's chapters are structured, as I did, model your own, with the point of view chapters like that. If you like it, if it works for them, try that. And so you put all these things together, and you slowly build your own style, and you slowly become your own author that somebody else will emulate later on. And so you feel like, oh, I'm stealing from all these guys, and they're all like, please do, like, steal away. George R.R. Martin,
imitation, right, is the greatest form of flattery.
It's how you find yourself. George R.R. Martin does not have two middle names that start with R. He adopted that because his idol was J.R.R. Tolkien. He doesn't have middle names. He's just George Martin, and we call him George R.R. Martin. He stole
We call him Gur Martin.
He stole J.R.R. Tolkien's name. Like, steal from the greats. And you'll get
But not the whole name. Like,
no,
don't use the whole
middle
name.
Yeah, just the middle name. Just the middle initial. That's all you're allowed to steal. But yeah, emulate how they write, emulate the kind of stories. I have another author friend that I met through TikTok, with this whole process of getting you guys on here, and he talks a lot about writing a book that you love reading. In other words, like, open up to the first page of Game of Thrones and just start writing what he wrote, and just like write it again, much like a guitarist learns to play guitar by playing songs that other bands have written and created already. You will learn to write by writing that book. Like, write that chapter and see like how he started it, how he ended it, what he peppered in along the way, what he's setting up for later in the book, what he's paying off. Like, learn how he does it. And
you know what my difficulty was?
What's that?
I told you earlier that I like to read sci-fi, but I don't actually write sci-fi.
Sure.
And apparently there's a difference in the writing technique too. Like when you're writing or when you're reading adult sci-fi, the way you read it is, it's a completely different genre, it's a completely different style. So sure. If you write YA with the same thing, such as like, the way you write your paragraphs, where this is how the person says something, it doesn't translate as well.
Yeah, it'll feel weird. It'll
yeah.
Something will feel odd to the reader there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a learning curve.
And you know what? If that's what you're going for, then that works too. You know what I mean? Like, I love sci-fi movies. I don't really read a lot of sci-fi books. My book is a sci-fi setting. It's a murder mystery set in a sci-fi fantasy world. I don't really read sci-fi, but I read a lot of fantasy and I read a lot of murder mysteries. And I just love the sci-fi setting. I love like the whole like aesthetic of this futuristic world and the technology and what has progressed and what hasn't.
Possibilities.
Sure, and how people still suck even 10,000 years in the future. Like, I love all that stuff. Like, that's my bread and butter. So so it's interesting how we write things that we like to read, but we also write things that we don't read. Like,
well, they say you have to write something that you like to read because you're going to be reading it over and over and over and over again.
No kidding. Yeah, and that's why I write the way that I write, because I have ignored so much good advice from other authors in creating this book. Every established author has told me the same thing. Don't make your first book part of a series. It's a trilogy. Don't make your first book have an ensemble cast. Just stick with one point POV. I've got like 3 main characters, 2 other side characters that have their own chapters, a couple other like C characters. Like, it's bananas in there. Don't do a genre bender. Stick to one genre. I have like 5 genres going on in this thing right now. Like, I'm like, yep, great advice. I'm going to ignore that and do what I want anyway, because I like to read this stuff, and so I'm going to write what I like to read, and I'm going to write what I like to watch.
My absolute favorite quote is, "Know the rules, but know when to break them."
Yes, that's a good one. I'm gonna get that tattooed. That's a good one. Know the rules and know when to break them.
Know all the rules, but know when to break them.
I love it. Well, Miss Lacson, I believe that brings us to the end of this episode of Typewriters Podcast. It has been absolutely lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest, so relaxed and laid back, like you're a pro and have done this so many times before. It's fantastic. It's been full of laughs and great advice, and it has been fantastic. This will air on Thursday. It's a premiere, so there is a live chat component during the premiere. If you would like to show up, if you're not too busy, I'll be in there. We can hang out and talk with the viewers. But otherwise, it'll be up there in perpetuity, and you can watch it whenever. I'll send you all the links and stuff. Go ahead and say goodbye to everybody at home, because this is actually the last time. Like the last one.
For real. Thanks for sticking around and watching, and hope to see you guys soon someday.
Short and sweet and to the point. I love it. All right, y'all. Thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give me a 5-star review. You're allowed to tell me anything you want in the review, even if you're telling me that I suck at doing this, as long as you give me a 5-star. Give me the 5 stars. and then you can say whatever you want. Okay, and subscribe on YouTube and all that good stuff. Sunday, we have Live Stream Sunday. Tuesday, we have Tuber Book Club. And I'll see you guys at all of those. Right on, writers. We out.